And away we go. Good evening, everybody. Welcome. Wednesday nights always have special guests. Sometimes they're from places far. Sometimes they're from places we'd never heard of. You say there's Jews there. This week, we decided to go to a very special program that's local right here in Illinois. And you see, it's called Chabad Cares. Just posted it right up there. And we're honored to have with us Rabbi Lazer Hershkovich, who is in charge of Chabad Care. So let's get started right at the beginning. Rabbi, first of all, thank you so much for taking time on a Wednesday night out of your schedule. We know everybody's got 1,000,002 things to do. And let's get started. What is Chabad Cares? Give us the background. When did it start? How long have you been doing it? What is the special program that is called Chabad Cares?
Thank you very much for having me. It's a pleasure to be here and a pleasure to be with all of you tonight. So back in 2010, I was finished my yeshiva and finished rabbinical school. And my father had requested, he says, can you come back to Des Plaines? You know, my parents had started a Chabad house here together with the Shimons back in the 80s in Des Plaines, Illinois. Actually, unincorporated Des Plaines. Anyhow, they had started this Chabad house. And he says, you know, you've finished your yeshiva, you've joined Chabad, you've seen the world already. Why don't you come back home and sort of help out over here in the shul and with the Chabad activities here in our area? And so I came, and something that noticed me where we live, there's close to 20 healthcare facilities that includes 3 major hospitals. For those of you that are from Chicago, you have Resurrection, you have Lutheran General, and we have Holy Family.
Very Jewish sounding.
Oh yeah. Anyway, there's all these healthcare facilities, and I was wondering, are the needs of the people that are there and their families, are they being met, or can we be doing something better? And so I had this thought in the back of my mind. There came a point where there was this one lady who we got a call to come visit in the hospital. And she tells me very surprisingly, she says, you know, that she grew up in the Soviet Union. She grew up in Russia, before it became Soviet Union. And so by her, she learned Yiddish. She knew very much a lot about Jewish culture and practice. But she says where we live in our building, senior citizen housing, also nearby us, there are missionaries who are coming, and they are posing as if they are Jewish, putting on a talis, giving a challah, and praying to Yashki, you know. And I know what's going on. I know this because I was educated. But the people in my building, they don't know. They're from Soviet Union times. They have no clue what's going on. They enjoy the food and they enjoy the company, and they have no clue what's happening. And I was like, this is crazy. What a story. At the same time, and we got to do something, right? Something has to be done about this. And there's all these things. And at the same time, we were getting all these calls from parents of teenagers that were looking for their kids to get volunteer time. Now, volunteer hours. So usually in these type of cases, what we've been doing is letting them help with cleaning the shul, putting the sitters back, helping with mailings and things like that. But there was a lot of calls coming in that they wanted to actually do something. So I was thinking, wait a minute, there's these vulnerable people that are in the healthcare facilities and in the senior citizen housing. And you have these teenagers that their parents are desperate for them to do things. And their parents also want to start, get involved in a way that's, not necessarily so connected with religious practice. So in other words, it's like a safe way to cross over the door. I said, let's make something. Let's make something. And I started talking with some colleagues about, what could we call it? And I spoke with actually Derbe Halfer. I don't know if some of you know, she's a lady behind many, if not most of the designs for Chabad of Illinois, if I understand correctly. She's a branding consultant, and I was talking to her. She says, you keep on saying about how you want to show people that you care about them, and you keep on saying that you're Chabad. So it's simple. Chabad cares. So that's how we got started. That was back in 2010. Since then, A few years ago, after I got married, my wife joined the team, and she says to me, Lazer, like, this is so much bigger than what you've been doing until now. There's a community of people. This is a community of people that they want to, they want, if you just give them the opportunity to do more, they will do more. And we sort of evolved in the last 5 years. We sort of evolved. We've evolved into a community we're not only limited to serving, we say Chabad cares not only in case of emergency. Not we care to teach kids about Aleph Beis. We care to teach bar mitzvah boys, help people get kosher chuppahs. All the people that have grown volunteer end, from the patient family end, from the patient themselves after they recover and get better. There's been a community that they look to us where they're linked to Yiddishkeit, where they're linked to Judaism, to godliness. So we've evolved into that, which is something I would say is pretty unique, where we, born as a social service organization and evolved into a community of Jews of all backgrounds, just looking to connect.
So here you are, you're doing this, you say about 10 years, 11 years, your wife joins the force, you got all these kids anxious to participate, you got all these people in need of help. Then COVID comes all of a sudden, and like everybody, we get blown out of the water. But it would seem like Chabad Cares specifically would really be thrown off, because you have an elderly population, you have a hospital population. We all got thrown for a loop that we didn't expect. But what are some of the ways that Chabad Cares adjusted, retooled, reconfigured, and how has that evolved over the last 15 months?
Great question.
You're an excellent judge of what's a good question. I just wanted to point that
out. So
all the people we have are great judges of good questions. I gotta tell you.
Listen, no, I'll tell you, it's very interesting, because I'll tell you, for me personally, what you said, everyone got thrown off. We were really, we were really thrown off. And we just didn't even know, what to do. So it happened right after Purim, right? So Purim, the flagship program that we're doing. So I want to say, right? So that even though we've created a community, our flagship program still remains servicing the healthcare facilities. Now, Purim, we had a beautiful packing. That's what we do. The big thing that we do is before every holiday, we get together and we make hundreds of packages and get them delivered. So that went well. And then after Purim, just like, what can we do? So we call up all the healthcare facilities. They're like, no, we're going to catch COVID through the phone.
Don't even call.
And I'll tell you, if you look up, you can Google this. Niles had, the village of Niles had skyrocketing hospital and death from COVID, but because it was from the healthcare facilities. So they were just, it was crazy. It was crazy. So one place, we have a place by us that is a independent living. It's called Embark at Niles. It's independent living. They said, you know what? Give us the matzah. Give us all the matzahs. We'll individually package them. We'll distribute them, and send us a file, and we'll make copies, and we'll get that distributed. So that we were able to do that, and that is well over 100 packages. So we were able to do that. Then after Pesach, we quickly called in all the volunteers and said, let's get on a Zoom and let's brainstorm. And we brainstormed together what we can do, because also what we're talking about is we have a very large volume of people, right? We cater to upwards of 500 Jewish patients and elderly. So, to say, and when you want to talk about like healthcare staff, you're talking about in the thousands. So, even something simple of like delivering chocolate bars, you're talking about a couple thousand chocolate bars. So like, what can we do? So early on, the whole concept of the sign idea, I called a couple of colleagues. We had a meeting. We came up with different random ideas. So one of the ideas was about this sign, which I'm sure you're all familiar with, the lawn signs of the positivity. I had called my colleague Moshe Talden from Chabad of Lamed and said, what can, and he says, I have a backburning idea about making lawn signs. So we made those lawn signs and we gave them to the healthcare facilities, and they were so happy to have that.
Just describe, some people may not be familiar. We have more if you want, but tell us about these lawn signs for just a moment or two.
Yes. So the lawn sign. So what happened is that somebody mentioned, one of the community members, they said, Rabbi, I don't know what it's going to be, but if you get a message out there, everyone is going to love it. Come up with a message. Let me know. I want to be a part of it. But if you come up with a message and you spread that message, people are going to love it, and it's going to give such a boost of hope to people. So I called a couple of colleagues. So Moshe Talden from Chabad of Lamed, I said,
here you go. I shared it on the screen. You can see the signs. I googled it
while
we were talking.
Yeah. So
kindness, patience, and hope are also highly contagious.
Yeah,
we have one like this outside our home in Prospect Heights.
You have one, yeah. If anyone wants, we still have plenty on Howard Street. Come and pick one up anytime you like.
Yeah. So this is right. So he says, I have this idea in my head of lawn signs, because you see from all the politicians, the lawn signs, they really make an impact. I just don't have words. I'm thinking through words, and I'll let you know when we think through words. And then he teamed up with another Chabad rabbi, Rabbi Mendy Weg from Chabad at Northwestern, who's good with like artistic and good with the creative end of things. And they put together this beautiful sign. I called our community member back. I said, he says, why should we limit it to the healthcare facilities? Let's get this all over Chicago. And he helped subsidize the first 1,000 signs that got spread out all over Chicago. So what we came with our Zoom was just thinking about us really spread out to the whole city, which was awesome. Then they got caught up by so many other cities and towns across the world, really. So it's amazing. That was one amazing thing. And then when we had that parade, Lag BaOmer, when Chabad of Illinois was arranging that parade, I said, let's go, come on to us with the healthcare facilities, make a circle around these places. And we told everyone to look out from their windows. And it was, these are some of them. There's a lot of, I would say a handful of Holocaust survivors that, for them seeing the parade of Jewish pride with that.
This was last year, a year ago.
I feel amazing. It's just amazing. So we had that, and then slowly but surely we tried to do a little bit of Zooms. Thank God, we were able to coordinate with the hospitals as well as the healthcare facilities to make exceptions for me to come in as a chaplain to visit with patients in extreme cases. We were also able to help a lot of people who there was a unique challenge that came up, which was that a lot of people that we deal with are, let's say, in their late 80s, 90s. Their children are senior citizens themselves. And so they were, even when things were opening up, they weren't too keen on going out to see them. So we helped be that bridge for them. Until today, what we have going is that just the well checks by teenage volunteers, that they're checking in with some of the housebound people that are, housebound, checking in with them, dropping off food, even if they don't need it, just to give that caring, that sense that someone is.
So you brought together the generations, people in their 80s and 90s from another world, from the Soviet Union, as you mentioned, survivors, and young suburban teenagers who are playing video games and putting them down so that they can come and meet up with and visit and maybe learn from each other, and they get to see the youth and the Yiddishkeit's future, and the youngsters get to see where this all came from. This is amazing. Can you give us a quick story or three, some specific, something that we can get a feel for like a real personal level of some of the Chabad Cares activities?
So here's a really interesting story actually. It takes us back a few years ago. So a few years ago, I get a message from the Chabad Shliach in Cali, Colombia.
And Uzi, what's it?
Cali, Colombia.
Cali, Colombia. Okay, sure. We got to get him on a Zoom one Wednesday night.
Yeah, I think it would be very interesting. And you'll hear why. So he sends me this message. It's like some Colombian number, plus over WhatsApp, +05, just a super long number. Look, maybe even like spam. Says, my name is such and such. Your friend so-and-so gave me your number. He says that this address is closest to your Chabad house. So I look it up. I said, yes, it is. What's going on? And he says, here's the story. This guy is a Jewish man from Colombia. Like he's born in Poland, moved to Colombia with his family as a kid, and he now lives in Chicago. He now lives in nearby you guys. He is very sick, and his wife is not Jewish. His wife is Catholic, as is their daughter. They have a son who lives here in Colombia who converted to Judaism, sort of reconnected with his father's heritage, converted to Judaism as a member of the community here. And he said that they're nervous that, if God forbid the worst happens, who are they going to contact to get their father buried and taken care of in a traditional Jewish way? Because they're both Catholic people, and here the guy doesn't, the man doesn't speak any English. What's going to be like, sort of, they're looking to connect to the Jewish community. So can you reach out? So I said, fine, give me the daughter's number. And okay. So the daughter lives a little further away next to Park Ridge. She lives in Norwood Park. And I call her up. I say, what's going on? And so anyhow, we take care of I connected her with one of the local with one of the local Jewish funeral homes, made that thing, had that taken care of. And I said, can I come put on to fill in with your father? And she says, okay, fine. I said, I want to meet your father. She says, okay. So I go over to her house. We meet with the, and I put on to fill in with him. The guy had tears streaming down his face. It was the first Jewish act that he had done in decades. He's been living in Chicago since 1990 with no connection whatsoever to the Jewish community. And this is, this is decades. And I put on tefillin with him and I say the words, he's hard of hearing. So I'm screaming the words to him and he's not getting it. And I say Baruch with a Sephardic pronunciation, as I'll usually do with you, Baruch Atah, and he's not getting it. And then I was like, wait a minute, this guy's from Poland. So I switched the accent and I said it with the Polish, with like the way that Polish Hasidim do it. And I say, Elekaini. And he goes, and Elekaini, it just started rolling up his Elekaini, Melech, Ulam, Asher Kiddushuni, like it was right back. It was
in the Haim.
I was just so impressed with that. With that, it was so, it was amazing. And then COVID hit just a few months later. Oh, so in between then, his wife, not his wife, sorry, the daughter was telling me how she's always so curious. She has this super deep connection to the Jewish community, right? All of her father's side relatives were killed in the Holocaust. So she goes to Europe and she's been to the places, but she wants to connect and be more a part of the community and learn more. So we brought in Modest Friedman. She had come with her also not Jewish husband. They had come and really enjoyed hearing from Modest Friedman. And then during this past Hanukkah, I said, let's get a menorah. And she said, so anyways, her brother over FaceTime helped her father light the menorah. it was really, really something. And just to finish off what the last piece in this story, which is it's a continuing story. A couple weeks ago, she sent me a message and says that her father's not doing well again. Can I say some prayers? So I said some prayers, sent in the name to the Rebbe's resting place, to the Ohel, wrote in her father's name, asked for prayers, said there. And a couple days later, he was all better. It had cleared up. They weren't sure what was wrong, but everything had cleared up, and they were sending him home. She says to me, "Can you come make a Thanksgiving prayer?" So just last week we went and put on tefillin again for the first time since a year and a half ago, close to 2 years ago. Tefillin again, and this time her brother was in town from Colombia to be there. He says, "Rabbi, let's use my tefillin." Is his tefillin, and it was just really, really, really something special.
It is special. So thank God COVID is thank God we seem to be able to move our way out. Have you been able to restart your volunteer visits? Are you partially, what are some of the future plans for Chabad Cares?
So very interesting that you asked that.
You're good at that. You can really characterize questions very, very well. You're good at that.
Yeah, you know what? I'll be honest with you. I didn't really read the you know what I'm saying. I'm
You're more spontaneous.
Exactly, yeah. So it's good questions. I told you, Rabbi, you got to restart your podcast. Great. So no. So what are we doing? What have we started to do? So it's interesting that the healthcare facilities are on their own metric system. They have their own set of what's going on over there. In other words, where the state is holding doesn't mean anything for the facilities themselves. Each facility has their own thing, where they are holding. So for the assisted living, for the assisted or independent livings, we've been able to come in. Only gatherings are limited. Gatherings are limited to 10 people or so. So that's been limited, but I've been able to visit with people in their apartments. And also what I started back a few months ago, because I was just, we had this itch, got to get in to see people, is that one way that I found to be able to do that is to start a chaplaincy training course to do the clinical pastoral education with the Lutheran General Hospital, which requires you to do clinical hours visiting patients. So I said, wait a minute, this is a perfect opportunity. I can't get in any other way. So I joined the program, and I've been visiting patients there twice a week, Monday afternoons and Tuesday mornings. And I finish in June. And by that point, we hope that the facilities will be more and more, even more fully open for us.
And then you'll be certified as a chaplain, another access point for the Chabad Cares program. Fantastic. Well, Rabbi Lazer, I want to thank you so much for joining us. I want to thank you for all the beautiful work that you're doing and for taking the time to let us know. If somebody knows somebody who's in one of those healthcare facilities, how can they reach you? Do you have a website? What is a way that somebody who's listening now who says, oh, I have a neighbor, a cousin, or my friend, or somebody who's in a healthcare facility in the Niles area, and they love to have Chabad Cares come and speak with them, meet with them, visit with them. What's the best way to reach you? Is there a website? Is there an email? What's the best way?
So ChabadCaresToday.com, that's our website.
ChabadCaresToday.com.
Right, exactly. If you go to ChabadCares.com, it's going to take you to a sister Chabad house in New Jersey. So make sure to do Chabad Cares Today, and that kind of goes along the lines of what we were saying before, with our whole rebranding. That we care even more.
I thought we only care today, but tomorrow we don't care.
Exactly. No. Today it's even more. Not just in case of emergency, but yeah, ChabadCaresToday.com. They can send an email to info@ChabadCaresToday.com. And
when I send out the recording, I'll put the website in the WhatsApp with the recording of tonight's program. So thank you, Rabbi. I really appreciate it. I know you've been looking forward to this all night, and you didn't sleep last night because you were rehearsing, and you did beautiful. You're great. Appreciate it very much. I want to thank everybody. Tomorrow night, everybody, 9 o'clock for Parsha Thoughts. Next week, we got more special guests coming up over the next couple of weeks. So thank you to Rabbi Lazer. Thank you to Chabad Cares. And we'll see you
Thank you.
tomorrow night.
Thank you. Take care. Bye-bye.